Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to our respected viewers, and again, welcome on Youth Matters with me, your host, Sakina Habib. I hope that all of you are keeping in good health and are very happy to welcome this holy month of Ramadan, which is a month filled with blessings and a lot of barakat and, a lot of abundance. And at the same time, as we are enjoying this holy month, the blessings that are in it, I we should also work on our mental health, and we should also take care of our souls, in the sense that our emotional well-being is also very important so that we can be spiritually active, right? So it's very important to see what are we scrolling on our feeds. Is it really like draining our health, especially our brain? And then most of the times we become so exhausted and there's a lot of fatigue, and then one concentrate on our duas and on our supplications and on ibadas. So this can we utilize the especially technology today, uh, in a very good way. Not maximizing it, but like balancing it, basically be a good balance to it. So on today's program, of course, we will. The topic is very interesting. We're going to be talking about how the endless scrolling creates an endless doom end of the day, and we shouldn't forget our spiritual aspect into that. So we're actually, if you've noticed from last year, we've been into a silent epidemic that immediately drains. So the dopamines and the endless scrolls, as I said, and the FOMO, the feeling of missed out. Are feeds making you foggy, anxious, or addicted? So with me today are two youngsters who will be sharing their opinions. To talk with young people to get to know their fresh opinions. So we have Sister Alima Fatima Nahwi and Sister Sahab joining us, and we'll be having a casual, interactive conversation on this. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I would like to welcome you both on Youth Matters, Salwa and Alima. Hope you're doing well.
Walaikum assalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Walaikum assalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for having us on.
Thank you for having us.
So tell me, yeah, I'm very happy to have you, girl. So tell me, it's the first week of Ramadan, and I'm sure that you guys are really excited, and you're like, we're almost like diving into the blessings of it, and wanting to make it the most beautiful, memorable month. So what have you guys like decided that how want to make a difference this Ramadan? What is a thing that you want to add this Ramadan that would make it different from your previous Ramadan, from your last year? So I'd like to start with Salwa. Salwa, would you like to share your opinion first, and then I'd move Alima?
I think maybe this Ramadan I would like to just be uh, be more present, be more present and more intentional in everything that I do, be it the fasting or reciting Quran or even like helping out in the community. Just being present in the moment and being intentional and not comparing my ibadah to the ibadah of anyone else. No, not comparing the
Yeah,
level of
right.
my ibadah to the level of ibadah of anyone else because we are all on different levels. And every level is according to every person's capacity, and that is acceptable. Sometimes
Right.
we may guilt trip ourselves because we may not
Yeah.
be praying so and so salah all night or so and so thing, and we may feel like we're not doing enough. Or even when it comes to like iftar, like we are not setting up
Yeah.
a full course table, and we might judge ourselves for that and guilt trip ourselves for that and criticize ourselves for that. but we
Yeah.
should do the best that we can do, like the best version of ourselves, and everyone's best version looks different. So this Ramadan, I just want to uh, focus on my ibadah, be present in my ibadah, and be intentional with it.
Good point, Salwa. So yeah, to be more present, obviously, and to enjoy the spirituality aspect more. So moving on to Alima, my question is regarding the endless scroll today. So Alima, how does endless scrolling on platforms like Instagram or create mental? I'm sure that you go through the, and I, including myself, go through this on a daily basis because I just can't avoid it. I mean, my phone is, and I'm either I'm trying to read a lot of information, I'm trying to collect a lot of information, and so there are like so many multifaceted posts, and some are really good though. Usually when I see a post, I try to save it or try to copy paste it, and try to like go through it again so I can recall those points and tips and work on them. But then sometimes really does get like, especially at nights, if I'm just scrolling through Instagram posts, or through some TikTok videos. So how do you think this affects the cognitive?
So scroll. This kind of scrolling is rightfully called doom scrolling because you get yourself into this circle
Yes.
of that affects your attention, your emotional regulation, your self control. It's this circle of exhaustion and impulsivity in the end. Um, Doom scrolling is essentially a compulsive action that's difficult to stop by the time you start. So yeah, once you start scrolling, that's it. You're in this. Um, you're collecting information over and over. You're constantly taking in new
Mhm.
info, right? So you're
Yeah.
getting overloaded and overstimulated, definitely. Um, your brain, when you're overloading with information, there's like no natural stopping cues in your brain at that point. You're exposed to so much
Mhm.
information that your brain doesn't know what to focus on and ends up switching between topics, and like your attention gets uh, fragmented over time. um, Apparently each time you swipe on TikTok, it triggers little dopamine responses. You know how addictive dopamine gets. So that's how you like get
Yes.
stuck into that circle. Your brain is in continuous action without any recovery. And that's bound to ultimately deplete your mental energy, which is going to affect your physical state, definitely. Over time, that control you had over your brain weakens, and you have a hard time processing uh, normal situations, even or day-to-day situations. You're overstimulated. You're in a state in which you're most likely to be more impulsive, more reckless. The decisions you make are more socially influenced than well thought out and like deliberate. So
Yeah.
that's one
Mhm.
effect.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think I totally agree with this. What
Mhm.
happens is when we are doing our chores, sometimes I don't know, those thoughts just hit your mind like such a
Yeah.
distraction.
Yeah.
And especially the news, the headlines lately, I would say that it's affecting a lot of youngsters, of children, of parents, reading the very disturbing headlines as well sometimes, like they cause a fear in our heart. For example, even like I've got my daughter, for example, and when I'm like sending her to school, or when I'm thinking about her future, basically, I'm thinking to myself, like, what's happening right now? Is it going to continue, in the next 5 to 10 years? For example, be it the bullying, let's start with that, be it the cyberbullying, be it the AI media right now, what do you say? We've got these trends going on. We've got these caricatures and, these weird things, cartoons that are being formed from like, images of people, right? So that is very scary, that what consequences can it in the future for myself, for my family, for my kids. The more we are reading on social media, like, for example, lately we were I mean, I'm just mentioning it like as an example that we've been reading about the Epstein files as well, which is very scary, very horrible, and many are now like scared for their. So, and if you see every day new coming up on your feed, this thing happened like years back, starting before even 2019, but we're getting to know about it today, which is so surprising. So, like I'm wondering that in the future, I don't know how many more hidden things are going to get exposed on our social media platforms, and we'll be like shocked. We'll be like, oh, and that happened. And, we weren't aware about it. So, how much more precaution should I take? So, these kind of thoughts, yes, really do disturb us. And I will go back to Salwa's point when Salwa was saying that we have to be present. Very true, because I see a lot of people on Instagram who try to be over influential in the sense that their Ramadan iftar table is set so superly beautiful, and sometimes you just can't like have roses and
Oh, you can't
the
cope up.
dates.
That's the thing.
Yeah, for like 30 days. No,
Yeah.
that's not possible. You might do it for like the first week. Okay, good job. You'll pat yourself. You'll go like, yeah, okay, I've done it. But then the second week, third week, one can't keep up with that same energy,
Yeah.
same rhythm, right? So to compare ourselves again is not good. We should focus on our mental, like your capacity, your ability, that yeah, you can do it and feel satisfied and contented. Very like that. That's something that I wanted. Okay, move on to Salwa quickly.
Yeah.
Salwa, what do you think? What links exist between heavy social media use and rising anxiety, depression, or sleep disruption among people today? Like, what's the connection when we're scrolling like that, doom scrolling?
Genuinely, I believe that the connection is so deep rooted and so like it genuinely heavily has an impact on anxiety, depression, disruption, just all of those things because comparison is the thief of joy, and our social media algorithms, that is what the agenda that's quite literally being pushed is. Oh, look at her life, look at his life, look at what she's doing, look at what he's doing, look at what she's achieved, look at what he's achieved,
Yeah,
look at she's 25 and she's done this and this and this. You're 30, you haven't even achieved any of this. She's 16, she's doing this and this and this. And that constant, being in that environment of just constantly, like everyone's actions constantly being shoved into your face. Whatever everyone's doing, you are like hyper aware of everything that everyone is doing,
yeah,
and we're human beings, we're insan. You end up comparing your journey to someone else's journey, your timeline to someone else's timeline. We end up comparing our lives to other people's lives, our timelines to other timelines, but without realizing that everyone has a different timeline and everyone has a different journey and a different pace at which things happen for them. And all of that has to do with destiny, with fate, with what Allah has written for us. But
true.
this constant competition can be very, 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 very anxiety inducing, especially for young teenagers, for young adults, not even young adults, for new mothers, for new wives, for single girls, for anyone, really, for anyone, for someone who is
Mhm.
not currently working, the whole hustle culture, if you're constantly being that hustle culture is constantly being shoved into your face, and you are, and for example, I'm currently someone, or like one is currently someone who has a degree but is looking for a job but is getting rejected left, right, and center, and then looks at this plethora of people just acing it,
Killing it.
and just getting, yeah, so it can really make you feel like, what am I doing wrong? Like, where am I
Right.
going wrong? and what am I doing wrong? And that can really, that can also catch up with you in your dreams. It can end up in you having a kind of burnout whereby you're like just constantly burnt out and you don't even know why. Like we're constantly burnt out and we don't even know why. Our sleep cycles are not okay. Our sleep cycles are not like we don't have healthy sleep cycles because we might be sleeping, but our brains are constantly on even while we're sleeping. We're constantly thinking about everything that we saw on Instagram, everything that we saw on social media, and we're constantly, because we tend to also criticize ourselves very much, especially as women. We tend to criticize ourselves very much anyway as it is. And then on social media,
Yeah.
when there's the perfect wife, the perfect mother, the perfect girl, the perfect corporate girl, the perfect, it's very easy for us to get swept in with all of that mass information, all of that information to get
Hmm.
so swept in it with it that it's just constantly on our mind and we're just constantly guilt tripping ourselves, but not realizing that everyone's circumstances are different. Everyone's
Yeah.
circumstances are different. That's what they don't show you on social media. The perfect wife, the perfect mother, they probably have a lot of help. They probably have a lot of,
Yeah.
their circumstances are probably different
I
than
agree.
our circumstances. And that is why they are able to live that life. And and here it also comes, the whole thing about, we should be happy for other people's blessings and we should pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to also bless us. But at the same time, it's really good to take a break from social media if we really have to. Because we don't constantly need to engage ourselves with what anybody else is doing. You know?
Right.
At any point, So yeah, as I was saying, this way then our brains are constantly active. We are not getting proper sleep. We are waking up exhausted. We are just constantly exhausted. We're burnt out because we're not sleeping. We're not sleeping well.
Yeah.
We're not, even
We're
when
not
we're
sleeping
eating,
well.
we're not eating intentionally either. When we're eating, we have our phones with us. We're scrolling on Instagram while
Yeah.
we're eating. So even our meal, which is going into our body, is not going in intentionally. We're not present with it. So how is that food going to be beneficial to us? So you know what I mean? Like we are just in an endless doom scrolling, and because of that nothing in our lives is intentional anymore. We are not present in any moment, and that is ruining our mental health,
Very true.
physical
There were
health,
some good
and
points that
physical
you
health.
mentioned.
Yeah.
Yes, that was a good point. I think when we are especially together as a family, like especially during this Ramadan, the best thing to do is keep our devices away at least during the iftar time so we can focus being together as a family, enjoying those blissful moments, and also thinking about our health. Very important. Number 2 point was regarding the degree part. So yes, there were times like let's reverse go back to like maybe 10 years back, 20 years back. A degree was something like, it was like a big deal, it was like a gold. Okay, but now things are shifting towards uh, skills. Okay, so if you
Yeah.
are a good entrepreneur, if you have a good business mind, if you're good with technology, digital stuff, if you can make money out of that. So in right now people are like watching out for skills, like, how smart are you, how creative are you, how can you brand yourself out there, how can you market yourself out there. So this is a new shift that we see. Okay, and of course I'm not saying that, I'm not degrading anybody who is a degree holder. Of course the hard work is there, but then now we just have to like incorporate it, integrate it into a different style. We just need to approach a different style, just like, how our computers get updated, from like windows, or like, the ProBook, MacBook, whatever. Okay, so similarly we need to update ourselves. Now I want to ask Alima regarding our language. Okay, so like in what ways does consuming varied content, images, videos, comments fracture our language processing and logical
Mhm.
thinking? As okay, so this is a very interesting one because What's funny right now? What I enjoy personally is reading comments. Okay, when I see any post, before I like it or something,
Yeah.
I go to the comments section and I enjoy reading other people's views. Okay, and they're like hilarious, and you will find everyone from different backgrounds giving their viewpoints as if they have like done a PhD on it or something. Okay, and at the same time, the way the language is, the spellings, the grammatical errors, and everything, it's being normalized. I remember there was a time when these things were taken very seriously, but now
Yeah.
it's normal. Like, Salwa, do you agree
Yeah.
with like the way people write now? As long as the content is like being understood, like I can understand what's being said over here, like the concept is delivered, bro. So like, let's move on. I understood, but there is a lot of language fracture that's happening. So Alima, tell me, what's your opinion on this?
So I think that because of the content that we're seeing, it's rapidly changing content, and it forces the brain to process a lot, like you said, in terms of images, audio, text, the emotional tones of what's being said. All the while, the topics are switching rapidly. So this fragmentation reduces the processing that should be happening in our brains when we're faced with such topics and media, and it makes it harder, I think, to follow complex ideas or arguments. So when we're in reality, I think when people often say that they've got like brain fog, that it's because they're so used to having this kind of short form content that's emotionally charged and gives grabs attention and presents ideas in a simplified way, in a kind of black and white
Yeah.
way. It's easy
Yeah.
to react to that. It's easy to make judgments without thinking about it too hard, without reflecting on it, thinking critically. But I think, like you said
Mm.
about reading comments, is good because you get so many opinions in the comment section that that starts turning the cogs in your head more than just watching that video alone.
Yeah.
Well, but
Yes.
if you're someone who doesn't read those comments and you're constantly exposed to this sort of content, your brain is making the habit of not thinking reflectively, not thinking critically, taking information at face value. Or like you said in the comments, there are people who think they've done a PhD on these topics. They think, oh, I've seen everything about this. They're not thinking
Yeah.
critically. They're not making
They're
sound
not.
judgments. They're not reflecting on
Yeah.
anything. And as for
True.
language, especially with the way we kind of like are talking casually to everyone now, and
Mhm.
people aren't reading books that much anymore, and
Yeah.
everything we see on TV, media, film. I don't know what is that like Urban Dictionary that you get. All those slang
Yeah.
words that are being
I'm just recalling, there was a time when we used to like use the dictionary
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
Oxford one and synonyms. Like, where has all that gone? Doesn't exist
Oh, yeah.
anymore. Now it's just
Yeah.
GPT. Okay, any word, any equation, anything, just type it on Chat GPT. You'll get everything.
no. We're losing
Yeah.
those reasoning
Yeah. So
skills
you
as
want
much.
Yeah, yeah. Can I just add to that? What I genuinely, I was having a conversation with a friend the other day, and I mean, you can clearly see the change even in like cartoons. The cartoons that we used to watch growing up, and the cartoons that kids are watching nowadays. Our
yeah.
cartoons were very intentional. They were slow. They had, you know, they had language. The characters used to speak to each other, and the stories were very slow. Like, the story wouldn't just come to a conclusion like with a splash of colors, and no, it was very intentional. And we used to sit and watch that. But nowadays, children don't have the attention span to sit and watch an intentional cartoon that actually has a story, a narrative. Now it's just
Yeah.
splash and colors and just overstimulation.
Music.
So with
Of
cartoons, again, even with teenagers, like nowadays, with teenagers as well, with preteens, teens, They can hardly form one coherent sentence. They have all of these new made up words that they've completely made up. Vocabulary is now non existent. Vocabulary was something that was so important to us growing up because we used to read books and we used to value like high level vocabulary. And over time, I say this for myself too. I feel like even my vocabulary has gotten weaker now. Once upon a time, my vocabulary 10 years ago, 12 years ago, was a lot better. I feel like now my vocabulary has gotten weaker, and the generation that's after me, their vocabulary is non-existent. They're using words that I don't even understand where these
Understand.
words are even coming from or what
I
they
know.
even
So,
mean, you know?
what I've noticed, as you said regarding the cartoons, right? I've seen that a lot of teenage content is now being shifted to our who are still like between the ages of 5 to 8 or 5 to 10. Okay, so there's a lot of teenage content that is actually now has been moved down to their level, which is not good. uh what's happening is that they're acting and talking like teens when they're not supposed to. They're still those innocent kids, but like if you'll talk to
Mhm.
them, okay, be it a 5-year-old, 6-year-old, 7-year-old, the way they dress up, the way they want to basically act, they want to uh what do you say, uh copy, imitate this cartoon character, be it animated, especially like a lot of Korean stuff. There was this one K-pop Demon Hunters, movie on on Netflix. Okay, and I saw a lot of kids. Okay, who got onto this, including my daughter. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, and it really got irritating to a point because she told me one day that I want to dress up just like this girl, and I want the same hair, like everything. And I was like, oh my god, where is she getting these ideas from, and how do I stop it? And believe it or not, even when I would not allow her to watch that, it would appear somehow either in her school, either in her when the students are together, like her gatherings, her classmates, they would be singing the songs like in the school together and everything. And they catch up from each other. Like, how do you stop this now? You can't do anything. And that's how they pick up a lot of things. So it's really really difficult nowadays to control our children from accessing these kind of what do you say, content, basically. So yeah, I think, I don't know, Salwa, as you said, where are we going? It's very
Yeah.
difficult to
No,
visualize.
I
I don't
always
know
feel
where.
so heartbroken about the loss of vocabulary. Truly, that is one thing that I always feel heartbroken about. As a person who really loves reading books, who grew up loving to read books and really valuing the importance of like high level vocabulary, like we used to read books
Yeah.
and then we used to refer to the dictionary when there was words we couldn't understand. But now those words, children nowadays, teenagers nowadays don't even know those words exist. They're using words like cook and I don't know what, words are that are not even like what is that, Like what is that? Like why are we like
Yeah.
our language is definitely yeah, our language level has gone zero. Zero.
Yeah. Okay, so this is a very interesting topic, and I wish we did have enough time to talk about this, but since we, have a very short time, we will have to wrap it up, unfortunately. So I'm just gonna take one more question with Sister Alima. That what practical steps can people take to reclaim their mental energy from these kind of contents, kind of apps today, like especially TikTok, Instagram, uh, like using it, but like in a good way, in a beneficial way, where you are just seeking out the good content, you're picking out the good stuff and not quitting. And
I think the answer is relatively easy. You have to let yourself be bored. Okay. The thing is that we've using TikTok and Instagram and doom scrolling, your tolerance of boredom becomes very, very low. You're looking for that quick release of dopamine. You're looking for that easy way to lower your stress and your anxiety, which comes from scrolling. Um, but letting yourself be bored and actually trying to do slow actions like reading a book or watching a documentary, something that is non stimulating, like those old cartoons that we used to watch. You have to take your time to do something slowly, something that requires effort and progress, probably, to kind of train your like will once more, because it's like it's been rewired by all that doom scrolling you've been doing. It's like you have to take it back, you have to train it once more. For
Very true.
kids, I think though they're like they've become used to this sort of thing. It's like the norm to them. They haven't known anything else other than TikTok
Yeah.
and like fast media and all the K-pop and Korean stuff that comes with it. I don't know.
I know, right? Like there was a point where even the parents were enjoying and they were singing and they were creating content everywhere. It was crazy.
Right, right.
And I was like, wow.
But I think we have to like recreate
Yeah.
like our childhood moments now, like more going
Very true.
outside,
Yeah. Me
more
too.
activities, more reading, more watching stuff that has actual significance, importance, and
Yeah.
motivating kids more, because like they don't have an idea of like what's cool anymore. Like their idea of cool is messed up. Their idea of what's cool is super messed up, is what I think. Um,
I
Yeah.
know, right? Yeah.
yeah, so we have to like give them a good example of like for me, my role model when I was little was like Matilda and some characters in Enid Blyton's books. I wanted to be like
Me
them.
too. Yeah. Me
How
too.
do I get to that point? These kids have like other
I
idols that they're looking
know.
forward towards. They're trying to walk towards that. We need to like change their minds about that and show them like what's really important here. Yeah, it's
I so wish
power of
that,
future.
my daughter would somehow, as you said, Matilda. Yeah, this was something that, I loved during my childhood as well. And it was like a different thought, like on its own, like, to try to be like Matilda because she was a smart, brilliant kid. And, she had these magic powers and everything. So, uh, today, if I would make my daughter, my 5-year-old daughter, sit and watch Matilda, she would actually probably sit for like 10 to 15 minutes and then she would get bored and just walk out of the living room, because she would be like so disinterested that, it's a very slow storyline and, it's not getting to the point, right? So I'm bored and I'm out of here. I need something like, something like that's going to hit me, This is the struggle that I
Yeah,
think most of us are feeling today. As you said, things have become very fast. The content has become extremely fast, and the attention span of the children today has become very slow. I mean, sorry, has become very, what you said, like they get
fragment.
easily bored. Yeah, they can't keep up. So I think we need to really work on this, and especially because it is the month of Ramadan. So I would advise that we engage them with Ramadan content. Even that somehow is very difficult, by the way, because they again find it like, why is this so soulful? Why is it so slow and rhythmic? Again, so I struggle with that as well. But we can try to even give like tell them that, okay, it's a challenge, let's do 10 minutes today, and then gradually you increase it day by day, like 5 minutes. Okay, today let's do 15, 20, so that they can get a hold of it. So these children, I feel, of today's generation are not the type who need to be enforced as well, because if you do that, then they completely will not come back to you again, they'll lose interest. So it's good to take it slow with them, allow them to even enjoy, be do their activities, but like also incorporate Quran, like incorporate fastings, incorporate the anasheeds, and especially in Urdu language, like Sabil tunes is there, and there's another one, I think Faraj Kids is there. It's very good. And also, like, I was thinking for my like daughter that even if she was to start fasting, then I wouldn't like tell her to fast for the whole day, like for whole 12 hours or 24 hours. No, even if she fasts for like an hour or two, okay, so I would still tell her, okay, it's a baby fast, it's a good thing you've done today, and help her with the reward chart and tell her, okay, now you can tick over here that you fasted today. So that helps them, and that boosts their confidence, and they would love then doing these kind of acts. Not that, oh, it's a burden, I have to do it because Allah has asked us to do it, it's a compulsion, and so I'm like being pressurized to do it. But no, I should do it because Allah's so happy with me if I do it. How much will He be pleased if I actually would do such a thing? And how much would I feel happy doing it on a personal level? So I think we should maybe try to take things slow that way. Okay, so we're coming towards the end of our program, and we'll be catching in the next episode. If we do have the time, then we can continue with with a few questions related to mental toll. But I have something more interesting in the next program. It will be about some interesting facts about Imam Zamana, Ajallahu Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif. So I just want us to like I will be doing like I'll be sharing those interesting facts and points, and we will all ideas together into it. So, inshallah, I would like to take a leave, and it was wonderful to have a program today. And I hope you enjoyed the discussion. And inshallah, we'll be seeing you in our next episode. This is your host, Sakina Habib. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.